we're going to hop right on in and talk about the topic I wanted to discuss today, and that is not being afraid to renegotiate what works for you in your marriage in the different seasons. Because as we know, marriages go through different seasons. So I think that some people think that whatever they agreed to when they first got married in the beginning of their marriage is the thing that they have to continue to do for the duration of their marriage. And I personally just don't agree to that. I just don't think that that works. And if it works for you, that's fine. But for those that know and realize that as we grow, we evolve, we change, life changes, situations change, seasons change. And as those things happen, we have to sit down and discuss what works best for our marriage in this current season. So, for example, I think, like for me, I went through premarital counseling. I think a lot of Christian couples did. And so part of premarital counseling, at least for mine, was to talk about roles and who would do what and what roles you would do, which I think is absolutely hands down. I'm an advocate for premarital counseling. I'm not trying to say don't do that, because I think it is good to have a conversation and talk about, who will do what as you step into a marriage, because you're really walking into uncharted territory. So you do want to have some guidelines about how your marriage and your household is going to run and function. However, if you said, when you got married, I'm going to do all the cooking and the other spouse is going to do all the cleaning and someone else is going to take care of all the financials for the household, that you don't have to be, I don't want to say stuck, but assigned to doing that the duration of your marriage. Because as you add on kids and job demands, maybe you go back to school, you may not have the bandwidth to do the things that you said you would do in the beginning of your marriage. So you're going to have conversations where you sit down and renegotiate actually what works now in our current season. I mean, you may have to do that every year, every quarter, every few years. It really depends on your household. When you add children to the mix and their school and activities, and maybe you are taking care of an elderly parent, or maybe you decided to go back to school, you may not be able to wash all the clothes like you said you want to do, or cook all the meals, or wash the dishes, or whatever it is that you have set up. You may have to renegotiate and say, now, you know what? We may need to find a house cleaner to help clean up this house because, I don't have the bandwidth to do that. Or we're going to need to swap some of our roles because it just doesn't work in our season. So I just want folks to think about that. You don't have to stick with the things you said you're going to do at year 1 or year 2. You need to be constantly communicating, constantly talk about what works and what doesn't work. Because as life changes and we grow and evolve, the seasons change, the seasons in your marriage change. And as they do, you need to talk about what is going to work and the roles that are going to work in your marriage currently in that current season. So I say all this to say, don't be afraid to sit down and have a conversation. No one wants to be resentful about, I still have to do all of the cooking and I really don't have time to do that. Or you're being hard on yourself because maybe you said you would do the cooking and you don't have the time. And so now you're eating out every night. I think a simple conversation could help to kind of fix that, to find solutions for that. So don't be upset or resentful, because that plays a part in your communication, that plays a part in your intimacy, which are important. I'm a big advocate on all things intimacy related as the intimacy tour guide. So have a conversation, renegotiate as often as you need to make sure that you are doing what works best for you and your marriage and nobody else's. Point blank, period. I hope that helps.